Hey y'all, it's me and Londa again. Hey, make sure my hair's right, y'all.
Wait, hold on.
Need a little red in your life every now and again. Okay, let's see.
Need a little slavage.
Oh, cool. I'm comfortable. Listen, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. A lot of new products coming out and stuff. So I'm really excited about all of that that's happening. I am going to, at some point, my commercials are going to be up before all of that. But I just want you all to keep in mind and keep an eye out for all of that that's happening. Today's tale from the dryer. Have y'all seen American Crime Stories? So American Crime Stories is on Hulu. If you know, this is a plug for whoever getting paid for that because it's really good. So season 3 is about the Monica Lewinsky and President Bill Clinton story. So when it happened, social media was just a thing. Emails, blogs, they were just getting started. So the information that we have now, we didn't have then.
Right. So
we lived that life of it happening, but we didn't see all of that stuff play in real time like we can, now. So let me give you a little background. It ain't gonna be no full background, but I'm gonna tell you this. This is one of the biggest things that I took from watching that. President Clinton was a whole hoe. He was just in these streets.
Woo!
Just doing whatever he wanted to do. Like he just no. I guess my biggest thing is, sir, you is the president.
Just a little bit of discretion with it.
He started when he was governor, and not started when he was governor. Let me take that back. Because he probably started when he was in puberty. And it was any woman that I want.
Not high school.
Whatever. Any woman that I want, I'm just going to go for it, And I really think that him and his wife had a agreement. And the agreement was probably, listen, don't be embarrassing me out here in these streets. Let me know what's happening. He skipped all past the agreement. He embarrassed her in these streets and did not tell her what was going on. Anyway, so he had a couple of scandals that had actually took place before the Monica Lewinsky thing, which is why I say that, we didn't readily see it like we can with social media now. Which brings us to our kind of topic of conversation today, because it's not really too much of a story. I'm sure we'll throw a story in here at some point, because me and Londa likes to talk, and we throw stories everywhere we go. But, is it a thing that men get a pass for being
a whole hoe? Woo!
Men get a pass for being exploratory. Is that
exploratory?
Exploratory.
Yes.
With women, and women don't. But the issue that I have with that is that is a societal thing. They told us, and that from the beginning of time. But as we see when it comes to social media, there are a lot of women that are very free.
Yes.
In who they are. And they don't have that same monogamous spirit, quote unquote, that women are supposed to have. So here's the topic of conversation for today. Are we living in the truth of who we are? Or are we living in what society has told us? This is who we're supposed to be.
So I think it's the latter of the two. I think this is who we're supposed to be. Growing up, y'all know I'm a country girl from a small town. You always heard if boys were doing something extra, oh, they're being mannish. If girls were doing something extra, oh, she just so grown. Sit her little grownish behind down. But there was always a pass that the boys had. Like, you can't do that. You a lady. Like, I grew up in a household of all girls. So, you need to put a slip on and you got to wear a girdle. I was wearing a girdle when I was like 9. And I was like, why? You can't just be bouncing around all your parts, just bouncing around at church. I'm walking. Like, I'm not up shouting and I'm walking. And if walking is a distraction, am I the problem or are you the problem? Like, if me literally putting one foot in front of the other will distract this man from the Lord, he ain't that focused on Jesus anyway.
Well,
I'm just saying. So I feel like we have, as women, have been conditioned from early age. There's just certain ladylike things you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a lady. I've never heard them say, as a young man, no, you're supposed to be a gentleman. I've never heard that. I hear, oh, that's just how boys are. Well, boys gonna be boys. When, a boy pulls a girl's hair or hits her in school, oh, that's just a sign that he likes you. Oh, so you're going to train a woman early that if a man puts his hands on you, that's a signal of love or care.
Oh, Alonda.
Oh, I went too fast. I took the people too fast. So what I'm saying is, I think it is against our nature to just say, I'm going to be this. When your spirit, your demeanor, just the nature of who you are, for some women, you're this. You're never designed to be in a box that they sit you in early and then punish you when you outgrow the space.
Oh, when you outgrow the space.
Wasn't that good?
Now, that's
I did my
right
good
there.
talking just
that
then.
That was good. I want to go back to when you said a little boy will pull on a girl's hair and they'll just say, oh, he's just telling you that he likes you. So those little girls grow up to be the same women who get beat down, and that's a form of love.
And he loves me. I mean, if I didn't do certain things, he wouldn't treat me that way, but he cares about me. He really is a good person. But you've been conditioned by society to say, if a man, young boy, puts his hands on you, pulls your hair, pushes you down on the playground, it's a sign of flirting and that he cares. And then when you have those same young ladies the girls that come up to be young ladies and women, and there's no education, no training, no loving experiences, broken relationships with male figures, there's nothing in between that tells them they have a worth more than somebody putting their hands on them. It just so happens we were conditioned the same way. You grew up with your father in your household. I grew up with my father in my household. So there were just certain standards of things that, and then let me just be clear. I also grew up with my uncles, and they didn't play that putting your hands on me at all. One of my uncles right now, if I call him and say somebody put their hands on me, he'll be in Charlotte in like 30 minutes.
My daddy's the only child. So my daddy's the only boy. That's such a
I was going to say, only child.
That was terrible.
All them.
He got 1,000 sisters. But I grew up with lots of boy cousins. And the same way Yolanda has uncles, I would dare not say, let me pick up the phone and call. Because I really think that, and then as life has evolved us, I've come in contact with some friends.
Yes.
Literally, y'all think I'm playing. One of our friends comes to church with his gun in his backpack every Sunday that he comes.
And got one in the car, one in his backpack, maybe one on his waist. And if you fool around and try and do the kid and play with him, you might shoot yourself in the foot because he probably got one in his sock too. Like, legit.
So the fact is...
Wait. And he has a machete. Ask me how I know. I thought I saw a snake in my house one time, and I was terrified. I'm scared of snakes, like, for real. My life will leave me if I see a snake up close. Actually, if I see it on TV, I'm not far from dead.
That is so funny. I can't send her nothing with a snake on.
Nothing.
She'll have a whole heart attack.
But I called him. I was like, it crawled past the mailbox and it went up the tree. This is the same one who showed up at my house with a gun and a machete. So... legit, as lovely and kind as Denitra and I are, we have people. So my thing is, there are just certain things we don't even have to call them for because we're not going to put up with it. We're not going to tolerate it. Right. And then there's a knowing about you that lets you see the signs of somebody that would put their hands on you or put you in a situation where you got to call your people. The intuition of who we are you always see it. I told somebody, either you see the red flags, but some people pretend to be colorblind or they just are a collector of red flags. No, we're not doing that.
Let me tell the story.
Tell the story.
This is an intuition story. And this is why it is so important for us as people to slow down and pay attention to what happens to our bodies and inside of ourselves when we come across situations. This is back in college. Now let me preface this by saying this is no ill intent to anybody. This is just the story.
The facts are the facts.
The facts are just
how
the
you
facts.
feel about the facts, that's on you. We just gonna just tell the facts.
I was dating this guy, and there was something that was changing. I didn't know what it was, but we could all see it. And I'm sure, this has been 25 years ago, so I'm sure that we had some type of conversation that said something looks funny or feel funny or something. He showed me this video. The video shows him and this girl rubbing over across his ear.
You see how close she had to get to me to do that?
On the video. Now, I didn't go looking for anything. He said, watch this. So then I said, and so of course I'm like, well, what? Why are her hands on you like that? I never said anything. My point is that was the beginning. I can't remember another time that I was so in tune to myself to understanding that these are, here are your signs. Mm-hmm. I'm showing you what is happening. So, of course, once I get that sign, I was like, okay, there's some more stuff. Then I go searching and snooping.
You ain't gonna look for it.
I absolutely went looking. Because I was good and nosy. And I'm still nosy now, but
with a limit.
Nosy has a limit. If you come to me giving me a story, you better bring me all the details because I'm going to ask. But if you don't come to me and bring me nothing, I'm not asking you for anything. Nevertheless, moving on, he was cheating. And it all comes out. What I went to find was I ended up finding a letter and a picture. She sent a letter and a picture of herself. So I knew that something was happening. And one of my other girlfriends, she was like, they messing around. Mm-hmm. And he tried to throw it off on her. Oh, she just jealous and she just blah, blah, blah. So my point is for everybody is just understand what it is that is being called to you and the feelings that you're getting, the reasons that you're going places. And then when you have already connected yourself with people that love you, God will then turn around and send them, hey, what you feel is 100%.
Even when you don't know, because if you remember, Nitra hadn't even told me they had broken up. She hadn't told me yet. But I kept thinking to myself, why they don't spend as much time together? Something is off, is what I kept saying. But
that was after all that other foolishness.
She wore this ring.
Oh, yeah, I did.
And we were sitting in church together one Sunday, and she had to get up and leave early to go to work, and I was still sitting there. We had never had the conversation, and I looked over and I tapped her. She was halfway in the aisle. I said, you need to take that ring off. And she came back, and she was like, what? I said, you need to take the ring off. And she goes, oh, okay. And leaves. We didn't have a conversation about it then, but there was something, even though it was more prophetic for me, I didn't know what it represented, but it was a confirmation for her. Because what will happen is you will see things happening. Your intuition will start to talk to you, but then your heart will try to convince you to do something different.
Especially if stuff has been consistently one way. Because,
Yep.
He was he was a good guy. And then it was, boop, he not. Mm-hmm. And immediately that's like, I guess for women, even men, sometimes you have people, all of us, they're going and then boop, they haul off and hit you. And you're like, well, where did that come from? Who did that? That can't be the same person. So of course you stay in it because there's not a consistent behavior of that.
Right.
So there was never a consistent behavior of him, just not being a good guy. But, he was morphing into it.
Yeah. And then when you get to that point where, like you said, God will send information to people you can trust.
Yeah.
It is your heart will, and again, going back to that conditioning, As women, we're conditioned. You stick by your man. You hold him up. You support him. Don't you give up on him. We're not conditioned. This doesn't feel good to you anymore.
Right.
This does not speak pleasantly to your soul. And you are not being respected and cared for at the highest level that you should be. You need to walk away and then go and heal yourself. That's not the conditioning.
That needs to be the new conditioning.
The conditioning is, he's a good man, stick beside him, give him a chance. You don't know what he's going through. I don't know what he's going through, but whatever he's going through don't feel good to me.
Right.
And there can be a point where someone you love is going through something, and what you feel is very different when they are subconsciously doing you harm. Mm-hmm. So it is they may be experiencing life, but subconsciously they're hurting you. Yeah. That's very different from, I'm at this job, these people are stressing me out, they don't believe I'm as intelligent as I am, I keep telling them, and then they go behind me and ask somebody else, they promote people over me. That's when you stick by and you encourage and you push. But not when your spirit is telling you you are not being treated well and respected in this moment. And no matter how good of a person he is, no matter how kind he is, and let's add this, no matter how much you love him. Because you can love someone that you are not supposed to be with. You may have been with them. That doesn't mean you're supposed to still be. Within every season, I wonder how a tree feels when the leaves fall off every season, because they constantly saying goodbye. But you may still love them and still have to walk away from them, because what should happen is you love yourself more than you love them. And I like me a lot.
I think that's probably James Adam was ushered into this world. At some point, he gonna be ushered into this world for y'all. I don't know what that little boy's gonna do, but it's gonna be for y'all benefit. So thank you. I mean, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
But at this point, was ushered into this world for his mama, for the love of his mama. Not for him to love me, but for me to love me. The love that I have for me, or maybe it's the love that I have for him, just gave me so much more love for Nitra.
Right.
For all of the greatness of who I am. You know, for a long time, I never would, Mr. Harvey at church, he says, praising your own pond, a frog that don't praise his own pond.
That's it, yeah.
It's
a poor frog that won't praise his own pond. Yeah.
I praise my own pond all the time. If you're watching this video at this point, I love to post myself. You let a camera show up.
She did it today. I was like, I looked across the table. I said, y'all watch this. She wasn't even looking at me. I just held my phone up, and she went straight in. She was straight in.
That's the thing.
She was ready.
I tell James Adam all the time, your mama is smart. I didn't get that when I was growing up, and that's not a slack to anybody else. I don't know if that's just what it was that I had to go through to get to this point, but nobody ever just encouraged me to say that part. So I always felt like I was behind or below or not as good as the next person. Honey, not today. So all I'm saying is the love for yourself, that being able to listen to your intuition and to love yourself is huge.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that will completely propel you beyond your expectation of life.
Yeah. And let's just tell the truth. When you're connected to people, whether it's in an intimate romantic relationship or a friendship or even a professional relationship, when people are getting the best of who you are, they're not going to tell you, hey, you're giving me too much of yourself. They're just going to keep receiving whatever you give them. But when you can sit and reflect and you say, you know what? This was good for me when I agreed to it. Yeah. I've now changed my mind. And once I've changed my mind, I'm going to change my position. I'm going to change my location. I'm going to change my status, because I might have been your boo, your girl at one point. That's not the case anymore. You can just tell people what you remember me having been to you. But you get to a point where it's how much of yourself can you keep sacrificing for the sake of not wanting to end something that's not beneficial to you in the first place.
Because if you love you, you'll end that jump.
You'll be done.
Just because it don't feel good to you. Just because it does not, what's the word, Anlanda? It's on the tip of my tongue. It doesn't what to me? It doesn't, what, you say it all the time. This doesn't serve me.
Yes, doesn't serve me anymore.
This doesn't serve me. She said, fart. Never mind. She said something, and I wanted to piggyback, but she kept on talking.
Listen,
it'll come back.
You better hit me with the elbow. But I mean, again, you get to that point where you just say, you know what, I'm done. I mean, I don't, and I've gotten to a point where I cannot, even in the era of the halfway real basketball wives of the folks that retired from the NBA 15 years ago.
And I never was really a wife.
I never wasn't a wife. I was just a girlfriend. And in the I might be ready to love you if you can pick me from a crowd of strangers, but you like somebody else the day before. In the scope of reality TV that we have, I don't have that throw my $9 drink in your face mentality.
Right.
I'm just not arguing with you. I'm not getting ready to fight you. I'm not getting ready to run up on you in the streets. If you with somebody else, you're going to be with them. I'm not going to be the one running up on you in a restaurant talking about what you do. The reach and grab it. I don't have it in me. I mean, okay, let me be clear.
Because she gets it.
I do have it. But I, with everything in me, try not to access it when I'm just trying to communicate with you what I plan to do. And so when I am done, I don't care if it's work, intimate, or regular friendship. I don't care what it is. I'm just done. I remember I was dating this guy. You shut your mouth. And we got to a point where I knew that he had moved on with somebody else and I was ready to move on. And I was just like, you know what, I'm done. And I remember we broke up around the holidays, but on New Year's, I went to his apartment and I was like, hey, I came to get a couple of things, give you back the stuff that I had of yours, whatever. And I specifically said to him, are there any questions you have for me about what happened in our relationship? And he was like, well, no, not really. I said, do you have any questions for me about how I felt about you, how I treated you, and how I plan to move forward? And he said, well, not really. So then, he asked me a random question. I answered. I said, because I need to tell you that I'm done, and this is going to be the last chance you get to communicate with me about this. And it threw him off because he said the last time he got broken up with, he was dodging stuff being thrown at him. Mm-hmm. So he didn't know how to handle me sitting down, asking him, what do you need from me? Because I never want to be anybody's baggage. I don't want to be the person you look back, 10 years from now and say, she doing all of these wonderful, great things, but I remember when she was nasty to me and she did this to me and she said this and then she threw that bottle of shampoo at my head. I'm not that person.
Just see a bottle
it's
of
right with that. But, I don't want to be that person. And so for me, I do my very best when the season is done. Some people don't get the privilege of the conversation, because for some people, you just got to walk away. Yeah. And I'm not telling anybody if you dealing with a volatile person. I just have not dealt with those kind of relationships where the man is stalking you and calling you and trying to fight you. I just haven't dealt with that. So I'm dealing with folks who I can just sit down and talk to. So I'm not telling you that you owe people a conversation when you change your mind. You do owe yourself the closure to be able to walk away from it. And I'm just from the mentality of, I'm going to offer you the same thing. Right. Because I don't want you walking around with Yolanda baggage. I mean, Yolanda baggage when I love you is one thing now. But when I don't no more,
even
bags get heavy to carry.
Right, and that's in more intimate romantic relationships. But the same for, just friendship relationships. Yes. I had to end a relationship with somebody just because I felt like my worth was not what it was when we were friends. Like I told you, I have gotten to the point that, Nitra is the A and the B all the way to the Z. There's nothing else better. But, that's how I feel about me.
Right.
And my expectation is for the people that are in my life to feel that same way, to feel, want to be connected to me, and not based on, just wanting to be connected to me whenever it's convenient, or whenever, as long as another certain somebody else ain't in the picture.
Right.
Either we're going to be friends or we're not. We're not going to be friends based on who you around and what's going on. And that's what it was. And I, like I said, this particular situation, you always came to me for advice. You always came to me for just comfort. And then, you go around when somebody else comes, you're questioning who I am and questioning my character. That just doesn't make sense to me. Either I'm good enough or I'm not. It ain't going to be one or the other. They can't, those two things they can't stand in the same place at the same time.
Right.
And,
and even going back to that, when you ended that friendship, I was there. Yeah. And it was based on intuition. The way the person walked into the room, sat, positioned their body, and they were telling a whole story about their disconnection, their disrespect, and their intent to, what's the word? To not interrogate you, but there was to confront you about something that was said. And I remember thinking to myself, I didn't know all of the details, but I was like, my intuition, my spirit told me that will, that's not going to be able to continue, because there's a level of disrespect that happened even in the nonverbal communication. It wasn't even what was said. It was how you positioned yourself with me. But, again, when we go back to something in you should prepare you for this. Nothing should catch you off guard at this point. When I say nothing, I laughed in the other video because they always say I lay somebody out in the parking lot, walk away, and be like, have a good day.
Hashtag facts. Put that on the screen. I'm talking to my editor.
But what is true is when I get something prophetically and I give it to you, I intend for you to get it and to walk away, and I'm done. Like, there's nothing else for me to do, because I don't have anything else to make up for you. But I am also from the same school of, I can tell when you're trying to encourage me or speak kind to me versus something being prophetic. But there's a knowing that happens when you are in the right space, operating as you should be. Nothing should catch you off guard. So when people come to me with this prophetic word, I'm just looking at them like, oh, okay, either I've heard this and you're confirming. And don't get me wrong, I believe prophetic words can come in very different places. I don't believe they only come from the four walls of the church. But what you better do is, if you come into me with a prophetic word, you better be on point, because I'm going to call you out if you're not.
God, the universe, our consciousness is never going to speak to somebody before it speaks to you.
Never.
It's just not going to happen.
Did I tell y'all last time about the lady who told me I was going to be a pastor, a wife, and a mother by the end of that year? We're at the nail salon. I never met her before. She gave me her card. I want to say it might have been like August. And I was like, that's news to me.
And a mother, September, October, November, December. I was looking for some more months.
I was waiting. I was like, I could be a mother in a different term, a different way. I could adopt and, become a stepmom or what. So, I'm listening to the lady. But again, it was news to me, because I had no intention of having any children or being a mom. I wasn't with anybody that I wanted to marry. And I daggone sure wasn't getting ready to be nobody's pastor. So she came with it. It was new information. Asked me what I did with that business card on January 1st. Daughter, your word was off. I don't know who it was intended for, but it was not for me. So God is not ever
What was her response?
You know what she said? She said, well, you just have to stay in God's will.
Here go a footnote to y'all out here. Jack Lee. Stop that.
Ain't it foolishness?
Stop wanting to be seen and heard for something that you're not prepared for. You gonna give somebody a word one day and say God said, and they gonna slap you upside your head. Listen, I felt that. That was prophetic.
Ooh, that was.
You is gonna get slapped. I'm talking to somebody.
Listen,
go on,
this is who is she talking to? But again, God never surprises me with anything. I was waiting for January 1. I knew I was gonna have to call her, ma'am. This is not for me. And so again, how much time do you spend with yourself? Do you invest in yourself where when you hear something, you could recognize if it's God or not?
Right.
Because I know for sure when I hear God speaking to me, because it resonates with me. It sits in me, and it's a reassurance. It's a, pay attention, Yolanda. This is going to come back to you. But when somebody is just, again, wanting to be seen,
yapping,
want to be heard, and let me just be clear, because I'm going to finally say, I am a prophet. I'll tell you what the Lord said. You shut your mouth. I'll tell you what the Lord said. But guess what I'm not going to do?
Y'all, I'm looking for a tambourine. I can't find nothing.
Oh, Lord. I'm going to tell you, for those of you all out there faking it, you don't want the weight that is required for you to carry a word from God to somebody else. Especially when you're doing it of yourself. There are times where I get something and I'm like, God, are you sure? Because it's a heavy responsibility. So don't you let these people come to you with new information and you have not already been downloaded with that in your spirit. Because there's no surprise to this. And your intuition, your spirit, your inside will tell you if this is real for you or if it's somebody doing their own thing. Now, I'm a little bit more mature. Now, if somebody give me a word that's not for me, I probably won't call them and tell them, because what she told me was I needed to stay in the will, and, I was outside of God's will for my life. And I'm like, no, your word was just off. But I probably would not be confrontational. I'll just know when I see you coming to move in the other direction, because you're a prophet liar and I'm not going to deal with it. So again, spend time with yourself so that you can recognize what God's voice sounds like, even if it comes through different people. Because could you hear God's voice if it came from a 12-year-old?
Would you? Would you receive? And would you receive it if it was a 12-year-old girl? Because we still have a problem. I think it's really important to, and it's happening more and more. One of the comments made at church today was about children and how our children have so much knowledge. And they don't necessarily do stuff the way that we did it.
Right.
But if we guide them, we'll get what we need to get from them.
Yeah.
But when it comes there's still this thing about male and female and how males have so much. Y'all, I watched this. There was a series that I watched. And she's doing this analog, would that be the word? She's just talking.
Dialogue.
Why did I say y'all? I need to get some more tea. Anyway, she's doing dialogue, and she ends up talking, and she's specifically talking about a hospital. And the movie is set back in like the 60s. So you have your doctors who come in with their good pen and their, charts, and, they're all men. And, they come in and then they whisk back out. But the nurses, who at that time, were mostly women, never leave you. They hold your hand. They hold you up. And she says, through all of that, is it really that, women are the helpers, or women are just the ones that hold everything up?
Mm.
You can take that however you want it. But I will say this. When it comes to me as a woman, I know walking into any space, I make that space better.
Every time.
And I have something that my male counterparts just don't have. Whatever that is. It's been so, we, from the beginning of time that we know of, men have ruled the world. And jacked it the hell
up. Woo, wait a minute.
So, back to the 12-year-old girl. Can you accept that from her?
Yeah. And
do you accept it more because it's a, would you accept it more if it was a boy? Because I just get this. The girls can sing in the choir, but the boys can come to the pulpit and act the whole monkey. It don't make no difference. But we got to get out of that. We got to get out of that, because what we do know is that women, we freaking rule the world. Let's just be honest. What y'all gonna do without us? I'll wait. We is waiting.
What you gonna do?
We is waiting. So back to our American crime stories. With our, as far as Clinton was as a president at the time, we just didn't know. And I honestly don't. Listen, this is my 100% real feeling. If him and his wife had their conversation and she was cool with him having other relationships, that is a marital thing, and that's their business.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, I said it. Go ahead. You can tell me what you think you heard me say.
Did I hear you say that if people who are in relationship with each other have an agreement with each other, it's none of our business, your business, their business, what that agreement is and how that agreement plays out?
I said that.
That's what you said.
That is what I said.
Is that just for the presidents, though?
That's for you. That's for all y'all. Because we need to get out of this. This is one thing we need to get out of. When I went to college, I had a little facilitation at church a couple of weeks ago, and we just had a little conversation. So I was just facilitating a conversation.
She preached to the people, but go ahead.
Didn't do that with the church family. And I said, it baffled me when I went to college, and because I went to HBCU, and everybody didn't go to church.
Yeah.
Like I had seen nothing different all my life. Because I was just around people. We went to church every Sunday. Now, of course, I met people who was in church Sunday through Sunday. Like every day they was at. That was extreme.
Bible study, prayer meeting, old people meeting, usher board meeting, building fund meeting.
Every day they was at church. But I told them, and my point was, people do it differently.
Yeah.
And you have got to, and when I say got to, respect that people don't do it the way that you do it.
Yeah.
People have totally different cultures. I was watching a TikTok and somebody said, tell us something that happens in your culture that, we would be shocked about. And this girl said that they get together at the funeral, at the graveside of a family member, and they have a whole celebration, laughing and drinking, and y'all, we would be like, what is wrong with these people?
They got the insurance money. They don't care. Look at them. They ain't even said they going on to glory.
People do it differently.
Yeah.
So with that being said, if these two people say this is the way they want to do, I don't know if y'all remember, I told a story about a wife whose husband went to his girlfriend's house.
I remember. During
the week. And on Sunday morning, he came and picked her up, and they went to church. And then he went back to his girlfriend's house. That's their business.
That's their agreement.
Let people have whatever just as long as you do what you want to do. Stop trying to put your feelings, your thoughts, your beliefs onto other people, because they may not view it the same way. Michael Basin, I just like Michael Basin. If you don't know Michael Basin, he used to be a radio DJ, radio host, and he just is one that just gives very grown folk conversation about stuff. And he talks a lot about, polyamorous relationships. And, I think it's more of just, can you all just understand that people do that and they fine with it? You don't have to.
Right. Nobody's trying to make this the standard for you. And can we also say, I remember when Monique and her husband talked about being in an open relationship, and they dogged Monique. They dogged her. Oh, she's just with him because she's a big girl and won't nobody else deal with her. He's after her money. And she came out and said, I introduced this to him. And everybody was like, oh. And then they had the hush mouth. Nobody wanted to talk about it, because it's fine if a man says, I want to have this type of relationship with you and this person and this person. But if a woman says it, it's because she doesn't think she's good enough. What if Londa say, I love this person, but I might enjoy having conversation with this person, and that conversation fulfills something in me. So if me and the person that I'm with are in agreement, how's it your business? Why is you blinking, Detroit? But again, it's what have you, because even if we go with monogamous relationships, there are some things that people do in monogamous relationships that don't make sense to some of us. I've seen couples where they've been married 30 years and sleep in separate bedrooms, and they just as happy as they can be. I've seen people who are married and one travels, the other one doesn't. But when they come together for their time, they just love it. And they've been married for years. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no cheating going on. It's just the way that they're set up. So my thoughts are, who gets to decide that this is what I want for me? And if you can be in agreement with what I want and it works for us, then it just works. I don't think it should only be a man deciding what he wants and then the women just have to go along with it. I think this is what I want.
And then we go back to women being empowered. We are not, I love my daddy, y'all know. Don't play about Adam Cup.
Don't do it.
Now he got flaws just like everybody else. That's my freaking daddy. Say something crossed if you want to.
Wait, come on back.
I'm sorry.
Back. You see how she got going. Come on back. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not asking my daddy to give me to nobody.
No.
Now, if that's what you want to do when y'all get married and do y'all thing, it's the tradition. I don't particularly think it's a thing for me at this point in my life. I'm a grown woman to make grown woman decisions. Hell, I got grown woman bills.
Hey.
So for me to ask him can you give me? That's a problem for me. And it's something that we've been doing this for way too long. And it gives this mindset that now I've been given to somebody, therefore they have control over who I am as a person.
And they are responsible for your belonging.
Right.
Just like, is there anyone here who objects? We're not asking that question when I get married. Why? Because it ain't none of y'all business. If you object, you wouldn't be sitting here. And what you have to say has no impact on this marriage license I done went and got, and this wedding I done paid for, and this marriage that's getting ready to happen. We ain't even asking that question.
Period.
Wait for it if you want to. You'll be sitting, wait. They ain't even ask if nobody object. It's irrelevant. It's an irrelevant question. And so again, who gets to decide? And I think that we would live happier, more complete lives if we spent more time really digging underneath what is it that we want for our lives.
Individually.
Not what I think I need to do to get this person to marry me or to be in relationship with me or to love me. What do I want? Because the truth is, let me tell you, I have been walking in this womanness for a long time. I am good with Yolanda. And when I got great with who I was, the person that needed to align with me and walk with me found his way right on. Hey, Yolanda. And then I told me, and then snatched my little soul. I wasn't ready.
I don't know why she wasn't ready.
But
I told you it was going to happen.
The alignment of, and I said to him, thank you for being someone who I don't have to pretend with. I can just be who I am. There's so few flaws that I do have. But the ones that I do have,
I was making sure the lightning was down.
But the flaws that I have are not ones that are deal breakers. It's not I recognize that this is who you are and I can still walk with you in this. And the flaws of who you are don't tear down at the man that I am. It doesn't tear down and break down my spirit. And so what will happen is you get into a place with yourself. So you're so good and great with yourself, you can be in that space alone and nobody show up and you still good.
And you're still good.
I mean, and I have not been in a relationship for a long time and I'm still good.
I think that's part of the issue. You look at a woman who's not married or, don't have children, may have children, but she's not made it up. She ain't got, then she has a problem.
Mm-hmm. Did you see Mary's interview that she did last week? Mary J. Blige was doing an interview and someone asked her, how did she feel about being single and never having had children? Mary J. freaking Blige.
So that means everything that she's done, we brought it all the way back down
to you by yourself and you don't have children. And you know what she said? She said, I've just come to the conclusion that I like my freedom. When I want to get up and go, I just get up and go.
And when I want to see him, and him, I see him, and him.
And I go when I'm ready to go. I can jump on a plane in an hour. And I don't have to pack nobody's clothes but mine. But again, everything about who she was diminished to, but you're by yourself without children. But Mary's so good with Mary, she's like, look, I'm good with who I am, and I'm good with where I am.
And that's just not a thing. Y'all, okay, let me say this, and I know I might get a little bit of heat for this one.
Uh-oh.
But it's just, I don't care. Some of y'all that's married don't want to be married to the person that y'all is married
to. Well.
You don't.
They don't even like each other.
All I'm saying is this. Piggybacking on something we done said over these past 45 minutes. If you get comfortable with you don't got to worry about nobody else.
At all.
If you've made a decision to be married to somebody, y'all sit down and go with what works for y'all in y'all relationship. And stop worrying about other people.
Yeah.
Don't be looking at, let me help you understand something. Because
help the people. Lean in close. Help the people.
If I wanted to be married.
Well.
I'd be married.
Come on. Testify for the people.
Not one, not two, but 3 times over.
Now, help the people.
At this stage of the game, and it's just the truth. I'm a little Mary situation. Yeah. I can't jump up and jump on no plane because I got James Adam to deal with. However, I like the freedom. I just do. I like, I can go out with this guy, then I can turn around and go out with that guy. I like it.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm not looking to be, then there's this one guy I really like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna tell y'all.
I was like, wait,
all that.
hold on. You taking the people too fast. Wait now. It's like, wait a minute. We're going to have to come from under this dryer if you tell that story. Wait a minute. Woo, she scared me, y'all. I got nervous. Woo, I was like, hold on. Woo.
I ain't gonna tell y'all that. But what I'm saying is, as women, as men, as good people, you know, let people make their own decisions. You know, if somebody comes to you and asks you for their opinion, for your opinion about something, by all means, share that. But this whole thing about it should be done like this, you're only making decisions based on your own experience.
Yeah.
And if you have not experienced the life that I've lived, if you haven't been able to travel the way that I've been able to travel, if you haven't been able to just pick up and go the way that I picked up and gone, you don't know the freedom of that.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a situation where I've been married to the same person for 20 years. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that's like. All I know that the experience that I have behind me says that this ain't necessarily, at least not the relationship like that my parents have. Every day they're home together.
Every day.
At this juncture of the game, I don't necessarily want that. I used to work with a guy, 2006. That was a long time ago. I was in my 20s. His wife worked in another state. On Monday morning, she got on a flight and she left. And on Friday, she came back in. They had 2 boys. The boys went off and went to college. And he loved his wife. Yep. They did that for years. She did not work in her home state. She came back home and they did their weekend and then she left. Even then I was like, man,
I might like that.
That might be something.
Yeah.
Even now, people, why do you date people that live long distance?
Because I don't want to see them every day. Because I don't want to.
I don't have the capacity for sitting up just looking at each other in life. I have a son that is busy and his mama is busy. I got clients, I can be at work till 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
If you ain't 8 at 5 o'clock, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm not going to be home to feed you. If you're looking for that, I'm not the person.
Right.
And that's got to be okay.
But let's be clear. What you do bring to the table feeds their soul in a way where they still want to be connected. There's still a connection. And so what I say is, I'm going all the way back to the beginning of the lesson plan.
Go all the way back.
When you have the ability to listen to your intuition, you know. I remember being 20, 25, 30, and I would ask people who had been married for years, how did you know this was the person? How did you know that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with this person? And I just kept waiting for somebody to tell me something that was going to resonate with me so I can pay attention to that thing so I can know when I met the right man. They couldn't tell me because there is a knowing that happens inside of you. And once you know, you don't have to ask questions if this is the person, if that's the person, if this is the person. Listen, let me tell you about this guy. I'm just going to tell you a little bit. I hate car maintenance. I hate oil changes. I hate pumping gas. I hate anything that has to do with car maintenance. To the point, I was out of town last weekend. I thought my car was about to blow up. So I called my sister in Winston. She called her husband, got the mechanic, and it was 2 twigs under my car. But I thought my engine was about to blow up. He reached under the car and pulled out the 2 twigs and was like the twigs of torture. That's how much I hate car maintenance. So he came over for a visit. We had a great day. And he was going his way. I was going mine. And I said, I got to stop. Got to go get some gas. And then I'll go on about my way. So I pull up to the gas station. My phone rings. And he says, which pump are you at? And I was like, what? He said, I'm coming to pump your gas. You hate pumping gas, right? Y'all, my whole little soul melted. You hear me? It wasn't the fact that I couldn't have pumped my own gas. But this person knew me well enough to bring himself to that gas station and pump this gas for me so I didn't have to. How do I know that this is the person for me in this season? And I can't tell you how long the season's going to last, but how do I know he's the person? Because it resonates with my soul. And there is a knowing that happens inside of me. But I am so in tune with Yolanda that you can't come to me at this phase in my life and not be intended for my life and think you're going to hold space.
Intended.
Not intended for me. And you don't get to hold the space. And the way that I push you out of my space is still loving and kind. I wish you well on your journey.
Bye.
See the dip? Give him a look. You ain't got no little bit of grace.
I gave him some. If you was in the space at all, you was graced. Let's be real honest. Now tell the truth.
This is true.
If you was there at all,
but what if they just trying to approach you and they not the you could at least be like, oh no, I'm good.
I'll do that.
Okay.
I ain't like, but
I mean,
I'm not giving you. I'm just gonna give you all the. All right then.
I'm gonna try and send you on your way so you'll be ready for the next.
Because if it don't work for me, it can't work for you.
Yeah, it's not going to, and it's not going to be good. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't, and
it won't be effortless. Everything I do has to be effortless. It has to be something. Oh yes, this is easy. I can do this. Me even taking my child to school in the morning is not something I necessarily want to do, but it's an effortless situation. We get up and boom, we get to school and then we're done. Like it's and it helps me with the rest of my day. I go on to the gym, I come to work. Like it's an effortless situation. Stuff has to be, especially if you're gonna be an intimate partner.
It's got to be effortless. It can't. I don't do the stress of these things, and that's another thing. Like I said, when I go back to the reality TV, they're even trying to do remakes of old stuff that was out the College Hills and the this and the that. They're doing remakes of that stuff. The Jersey Shore people, now the Jersey Shore people grown with kids and they on vacation together. Why are we still doing this? But I ain't messing with their money. Y'all make whatever show you want.
That's why they doing it.
But for my life, what we're not doing is this chaotic, dramatic, traumatic altercation and experience. We're just not doing that. And if it is not effortless, if it does not resonate with my spirit and my soul, then woo woo woo. Bye.
Listen, with all that being said, I'm sure, I am more than positive, if you are watching, something was said that you were supposed to hear.
Something.
And whatever that is, I hope you take it. And I hope you are 100% well in your journey of healing, in your journey of progress.
Yes.
And in your journey of...
This is the prophetic confirmation that you've been asking for.
Ooh.
Over and over and over. If somebody could just show me, I don't know if I'm right about this. I don't know. This is it. This is your confirmation. And that came from the prophet.
And with that being said, love y'all. Bye.